You're listening to Finding Your Genius Zone with Dirk Nevelle. With the help of successful individuals across industries, Dirk breaks down the unknown parts of every vocation while highlighting the importance of finding a career where you can leverage your natural skills, passions, and interests. Now here's your host, Dirk Nevelle.
Hey everybody, this is Dirk Nevelle. Welcome to my podcast. This is a very actually exciting podcast for me. I haven't had 4 guests before. I'm going to introduce, so there's Trish, there's Christy, there's Pancho, and there's Lydia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I've asked them before I hit record, I was like, what's the best way to introduce you all in terms of what you do? And I'm going to do my best. So they're in the world of psychedelics and plant medicine, and there's a lot of different reasons they do this. And at the end of the day, I think the best way is they help people live better versions of themselves. And, you know, personally, I think there's probably 20 reasons people might go down this road or these journeys. So I'm going to let, you know, I don't mind which order we want to go in. Maybe Lydia, you can start it off. In your own words, what it is you do if somebody was to sit next to you at a coffee shop and ask you, what do you do? How would you answer that?
Hey, hi, Dirk. Thank you so much. Very honored to be here in this podcast, and hi all. So if I need to say what I do, well, I say that I'm here to help people understand better who they are, where they come from, understand also the power of the lineage, which is a very important topic for us, exploring your lineage and see, you know, the talents and qualities you can inherit from that. But also helping people solve the traumas from the ancestors. We are really like, we see ourselves as ancestors whisperers. We go and explore the ancestors' realms, help solving those very ancient traumas that repeat themselves generation after generation until it can really become a real problem without knowing it. So we help bringing what is unconscious to the conscious level, so people can really understand who they are, why they are like this, and how, you know, they can become better people, better human beings.
Yeah. And just, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, when you have people come and do these journeys, there's a reason they're coming to you. They're not just curious. There's something they're trying to get at.
Exactly. That's why also in the work we do and with Trish and Christy, we also ask for people who really come with a purpose, with an intention, not just going to have a journey, a psychedelic experience. So if you come, it's really because you want to solve something, understand something better, and really, you know, change yourself, transform yourself.
Thank you. Pancho, what would be your take?
Yeah, thank you for welcoming me and us. I'm very honored. And let's say, for example, I'm talking with somebody and he or she asked me, oh, how do you come to this perspective? And it's something new, you know, it is out of the box. And I quite of wonder how you... So I say, well, we have the opportunity today to acknowledge kind of a failure of the way of living of modern society. Maybe we can at least question the right, the good way of living. So I say, see, instead of getting stuck, I always try to change perspective. For example, if you ask me that you feel you could be better physically, spiritually, mentally, psychically, you know, psychologically, I would ask, what do you feel? Sick, or do you feel ill, or do you feel like something missing? Do you feel like incomplete? Then incomplete is quite good to begin with, because I could say, yeah, maybe something is missing for us to fully awake today, to fully get in touch, because I feel like something is missing, for example, with my connection to Mother Nature. I remember when I was a kid, I felt more connected. I would like to get back to this beautiful, magical connection. And also, I feel like something is missing in the very knowledge of myself. So what if I would investigate in the lineage, as Lydia said? And that's what we offer people, to just enhance, to just expand their imagination. And I used to say, imagination is daughter of consciousness. And by expanding your imagination, you open your consciousness, and then you feel more connected to your entire lineage and to Mother Nature. And then you feel more complete. You see the beautiful, it's something that I can even believe it is missing to the entire human race, which is a problem. See, our behavior is the behavior of individuals and who are missing something. They are not complete. They miss something in their mind to behave in a better, harmonious, balanced way.
Thank you. That was. I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to interrupt the flow. Trish or Christy, how would you answer that question?
I can go next. You want me to?
Sure.
I guess, I do get asked quite often, and I typically go with, a psychedelic guide and integration and wellness coach. I often work with people who are very curious about these tools and medicines and help them to understand how they can be used to be better humans, to really live more authentically, to find their North Star of what are they doing here? How can their relationships be better? And, there's many, many different medicines that people can work with. So helping clients to choose the right one for them for the right time. And, often that can be a confusing task. And so just based on their intentions and what they're really hoping to get out of the medicine, or hoping to get help with in their life, helping to align with which medicine or tool would be best for them, and then just guiding them through that process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, I often tell people I found my way to psychedelics through my own healing. And I think that's how many of us kind of found our path to this. My work and kind of specialty is in trauma. And that really stems from a childhood where I endured a lot of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. And so when I share kind of what I work with people, it's more in the sense of, a psychedelic assisted trauma therapist. And, it has been such an incredibly rewarding career, and being able to work with people so intimately on some of, the most challenging aspects of their life that they're really, and I once heard, as it is applicable to this, the number one thing standing in the way of every great entrepreneur is their childhood trauma, and so I think none of us are exempt from it. Right. And so allowing, others to become curious about some of the patterns holding them back, and then to work so intimately in creating these containers, and then working with such, gifted healers such as Lydia and Pancho, and being able to bring these indigenous medicines, is just the greatest gift. And, also being able to facilitate and work intimately with Christy. And, I've studied in spiritual psychology and also the work of Dr. Gabor Mate, which he talks a lot around addiction and childhood trauma. And so, yeah, that's really how I've found my way to this path.
Okay, so there's a lot of directions I could take this. First of all, let's address, like, my audience. A lot of them might be young adults coming out of school. Maybe they're in their 30s. maybe they don't have the life experience that you all have, and they're interested in this. Maybe they've been exposed to it. Maybe they've been on journeys themselves. I want to kind of address this part of the podcast right up front, and then we can kind of go deeper. What is it, what kind of advice might you give to somebody that has an interest in help facilitating? Because I'm going to throw out an assumption, but it's heavy work, I would assume. And right now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like there's a commercialization of what you all do, which scares me a little bit, because I feel like you're going to get people that may not have the skill set or the talent to hold the right space for people that are in very vulnerable situations. And so if a younger audience is interested in going down this road, maybe we can go in the same format. Is there any advice you would give to somebody that's interested in going down this career path?
Yeah, I might want to jump in here because Christy and I had such a great conversation about this the other day. And one of the things that she mentioned in the conversation as it pertains to this is, I think the first thing that everyone needs to do if you want to become a healer, walk this path, is we have to do our own work. We have to work with the medicines and heal ourselves. And I think that's kind of step number one. And, I also feel that there's a huge gap right now in that there isn't a lot of accessibility to going to school, let's say, as it pertains to being a space holder because of legalization and things of that nature. And so I think maybe, Lydia, I don't know if you have some thoughts around this as well, because this came with years of studying, both you and Pancho, to arrive where you are today.
Yes, thank you, Trish. Yes, well, I totally agree with you. The first step is going through your own healing process. Like you're a psychotherapist, you need to go. It's part of the, the path of the teaching. You need to go and do your own psychotherapy first, right? And it's exactly the same. So one of the main problem today is like everybody, of course, wants to. There's a lot of people want to work with those psychedelics or medicine. So some people see that as a good opportunity to do business, right, And so I can do that because, I feel I'm good enough. I can do that and I will make money with that. So this is not, of course, the most ethical way. Of course, if you make your own living with that, like it's our case, great. But we didn't start for that, That was not the point. We didn't really have a choice. We were totally called, with the shamans acknowledging us as shamans, and we went into this path. For me personally, I started 23 years ago, like in year 2000. I was one of the first, or maybe really one of the first Westerner women going there in the jungle in Peru and being taught by an indigenous elder. And at the time, it was really few people who would have the courage to go there. I mean, you needed to go there. It was very rare you can do that in Costa Rica or in other countries, you needed to go there to do that. And because it's not an easy decision, I'm going to go into an ayahuasca ceremony. We're like preparing for weeks before, and it's going to be deep, and we are in this indigenous tribe, and you're basically on your own. You have shaman, of course, doing some work on you, but you need to go through your own process and through your own shadows. And now it's kind of like, there's an ayahuasca ceremony. I'm going to sign in. I don't really know where I'm going, and it can be dangerous. And also, so it's very important to know who you're doing this with, and what are the intentions of the people that are going to serve you medicine. And also knowing that a lot of people who want to become healers are mainly projecting their own issues onto the people coming. And they do that because they need to heal themselves, but they just need to do the full process first. And that's really the way it happens. You go through your own healing, and at one point you have the call, you start assisting in other people's ceremony, holding space, helping with integration, with preparation. And then if the moment is right, you know that you will be able to serve. And it's very important to have elders and supervisors, people who can really train you and know the right timing when you can start doing it on your own.
Thank you. Pancho or Christy, do you want to add anything?
I would just say, well, I agree with everything that's been spoken. This line of work often comes as a calling, like a soul calling. You just know that this is where you're meant to be. And the lineage and the mentorship is imperative. It's, you know, there are online courses you can take now to be a guide, which is dangerous. That's one piece of the puzzle, you know, understanding the science of the medicine and that sort of thing. But really understanding how medicine space works, how the field changes, how you can assist someone through, you know, a difficult point in their journey. All of these things come really through mentorship and through experience. So, you know, it's really important to do your own work if you're wanting to explore these realms, to make sure that you are doing your due diligence on your guide. You know, who are they? What type of experience have they had? What is their training? And, you know, really taking that point seriously. It's important.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I ask another question? We kind of discussed this prior to hitting record, is the different ways you can get involved with this, like the different roles. I would love to kind of have you all just touch on what it is you do, because you all do different things, or to some extent, you're not all doing the same thing. And, you know, from somebody that doesn't have the knowledge and life experience of what these journeys entail, there's a lot that goes into it. There's the before, there's the during, there's the after. There's probably a lot of preparation leading up to, you know, getting your body and your soul and your everything just in a really healthy way, just so you can take advantage of this opportunity. Can we touch a little bit about what exactly you each do in terms of what your roles are? Anyone can go.
So if we start with the ceremony setting, you know, the work with the psychedelic, we must keep in mind that we are awakening a lot of strong energies that are not, we're not used to deal with them on a daily basis in the normal life. So the first thing that the leader of the ceremony has to know is to deal with these energies, to protect every participant and that's the first base of ethic. Then he has also to be the seer, because the participants are not yet used to decode all the information they will receive, whether it's sound, vision, or whatever, feeling and sensation in the body. And we have to remember the leader of the ceremony for the last 10,000 years used to be, and still is, a storyteller. He is the one that is able to go down, deep down in the spirit world and get their solution for the patient, for the group or the individual. So that's what the leader of the ceremony must be able to do. So when he gets back from the underworld or the world of the spirit, he knows exactly how to deal with the patient. And so that's the setting, or the traditional setting, way, and the safest one, the only one that guarantee full safety to every participant.
Are you the leader, or both of you the leaders during the ceremonies?
Yes,
that's the beauty of the masculine and the feminine working together, because we deal with the sacred feminine, the sacred masculine and the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So it's beautiful to work together and to offer this to the circle. And
in the Shipibo tribes where we learn, they work a lot as couples too.
Yeah,
it's really beautiful. You kind of have these mother-father figures, taking care of you. You're like a baby, and and going back into this feeling of safety you had when you were a little baby or in the womb.
So this isn't the same, but I remember I did a lot of meditation events with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I was amazed that when we were doing these long meditations, he was actually meditating as well. And also, he was the one giving the meditation verbally. Are you all taking the medicine while you are conducting these as well?
Oh, yes, we are very deep in the medicine.
Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, it feels, and this is going to be just a random comment, but you have to be very confident. Maybe these aren't the right words, but just very skilled in, I mean, I would assume some people for the first time, they're not in control. There's a lot of things going on, and it's some new sounds, new feelings, new emotions. For you all, was this something that took years and years to get comfortable feeling like you could not only participate, but also manage the room?
Yeah, for sure. The first time you're like, you can't even move, but and then little by little you learn. So you are deep in the medicine, and at the same time you're really functional, and you can move around, can go and help people, and that's training basically and practice.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption is not everybody can do that. Like, not everybody can be a professional athlete. Like, what you all do is a unique skill that I don't know if anybody can just do if they want to.
I think to Christy's point, it is a calling, and even I can speak for myself. From a really young age, I was psychic, and I would have entities and those from the other side come and visit. And it's, the veil for me is very thin, and then went on medicine even more so, right? And that ability to navigate that space. And it's interesting, even when I first started working in the psychedelic space, it was like it was this old friend that was so familiar to me. And I know others, really struggle sometimes to drop in or even learn how to work with it. And I think part of that is I did a lot of training in shamanism prior to integrating psychedelics. And I think having that background in 20 plus years in the health and wellness space allows you a bit more fluidity as you drop in and start to experience some of these psychedelic experiences as well.
So Christy and Trish, maybe touch on where you drop into this in terms of your roles in the ceremony.
Yeah, so I've been, as I said, in the health and wellness space for 20 plus years, and I worked in Utah with a group of ketamine clinics here. And so I kind of started working in that space, and then working a lot in Costa Rica with ayahuasca and psilocybin. And so for me, it's a matter of helping, as they call it in our field, hold space for people to drop in and do their work. And so really, it's so important to me that people are going in with some preparation, specifically with ayahuasca, because there's also a dieta or a specific diet that they need to follow in order to fully detox the body and allow the channel to be more open. And so really supporting people before going down and doing ceremony. And it's not only creating, the spiritual container or, lightness, but it's also preparing the physical body, specifically with ayahuasca, and then being there to help support the container and the participants. And then Christy and I also work together in doing retreats with psilocybin as well. Yeah. And Christy, maybe you want to speak to that.
Yeah. So as Trish was describing, she and I have similar roles in that, and really helping people to understand the importance of the diet and the preparation. And, if you don't take that piece seriously, you just won't get nearly as much from the experience. It's a very strong point. And so just really holding people to have the support around the preparation is very important. And then, as Trish was describing, during the ceremony, making sure people feel safe, that they feel supported and comforted. Lydia and Pancho are two people. We often have 15 or more in circle with us. So just making sure that we can be there if people need, and assisting them too as they're working and doing their medicine. If they need anything from us, we're there to support them as well. And then as Trish was describing with the retreats that she and I hold together with psilocybin, that is, we are the medicine facilitators in those roles, and work on dosage and making sure people are prepared for that type of experience as well, which is similar in a lot of ways. You still want to have the body prepared, you want to have your intentions, and do the integration after, which can be deep and long. And so just working, meaning making, helping people understand the experience that they had and how to really implement what came through, those messages that came through into their lives. That is the key to transformation. Is, you see these beautiful visions and what I often describe as their North Star that they can count on in their life. That's where they're going. And what are the steps, action steps to do to get from where you are now back in your 3D reality to that North Star that you envisioned for yourself during your journey? And it's just very, it's if you don't do that piece, you're missing it all.
Yeah.
So just really holding a framework for people to get the most out of their experience. That's an important part.
So I have two questions. Thank you, Christy. So one of my questions, and anybody can address it, is I'm curious about the relationship. Like, you have the ceremony. I assume there's a process prior to of maybe getting to know the person. Then there's the accountability after. So I'm curious about the longevity, or, is this sometimes something that can be handled in 5 journeys, 1 journey, or does it just depend? And then I also want to kind of ask the question of, what is it, you've all been in this for a while. What is it that surprised you that you didn't see coming? I mean, this is a beautiful but heavy thing you do. This isn't selling paper clips and Slurpees. I mean, you're changing lives, and you're going deep. So I'm curious, like, something that you didn't see coming. So you can address the first or the second question, but to give the audience a better idea of, like, this isn't just, hey, I go somewhere for a week and it's over, or is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Definitely
it's
not over.
Yeah, it's such a great conversation, and I'm so grateful to have it, because I think a lot of people do drop into the medicine and use it in a way where you miss the magic of it, and you miss the opportunity to really do deep healing if you don't work with it. And you can go and have an experience, but I think the containers that we've created are really about how, and we talked about it before, how do we prepare you before? How do we really hold that safe container? And safety is so important for me in this. And then also, how do we help you integrate? Because so many people come to the medicine, and then all of a sudden you crack open these childhood traumas that many have completely disassociated from or didn't even have memories of. And then now, what does life look like afterwards? And I think, certainly I went through that when I had my first experience with Iboga. That was my first entree into psychedelic medicines. And all of a sudden, a lifetime of trauma that I had never even looked at was now kind of, on my lap, having to deal with it. And life as I knew it was completely changed forever. And then ensuring that people have a container that supports them afterwards. And I think to your question of what is one of the things that's shocking, I think you have to look at these medicines of, you don't go to the gym and lift weights and you're all of a sudden fit, right? This is really building that spiritual muscle. It takes time, and it takes, it's something that we have to be committed to the spiritual path and the spiritual journey. I think maybe Lydia or Pancho, you might want to speak to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, I totally agree with you. It's a commitment first, commitment to yourself, and but also, you have to be ready to make those changes in your life. When you go, there's no way back. That's it. We're like, you open the door and you need to go through the door. So, and walk that path. And that's true. That's why we like also to work in the setting of retreats, because we are together. There's this preparation. It's like creating a family, a community, a tribe, and that's also what most people need today, because we are such, we don't have that anymore. We live, in cities, and we lost the connection to nature. We lost the connection to the sense of tribe. And when we do those retreats, we're all together all the time, and we're processing, and we are all together, we're like all in this together. And that's why what is beautiful, even the shamans and all the people assisting and the people participating, we are one. And that's what we love most with that. And so then after these experiences, we keep that connection. And I've seen people coming out of retreats with like best friends, you meet also those other people and you share this really tough, journey, tough. I mean, it's beautiful, but, you need to go for it. You need to find the beauty, behind the shadow too, crossing, going to those underworlds and find the light, right? And so you do all this together. It's really rewarding. We're brave, it's brave to do that. And so people create that connection. Oh, I was feeling your process, I was processing and I was feeling you there. And well, there's the sense of solidarity, which we totally lost in society today. So it's always this also coming back to these ancient ways where people were tribes and were helping each other, supporting each other, and creating this really strong bond. When you sit in an ayahuasca ceremony with other people, you didn't know 1 week before, and all of a sudden you're like best friends, you're like, it's like you've been crossing the ocean, crossing the storms, together. And then, so this is for us also very important, creating that sense of community. And it's something it's an amazing takeaway after those retreats, spending that time together, not just come, okay, I'm going to go into an ayahuasca ceremony tonight, and then you will never see the people again. And, there's no following up. So, this is something we really appreciate. And even for us, we have now a big family, of people. That's beautiful. This path made us meet so many beautiful, amazing people. We're so grateful for that.
Yeah. I mean, Dirk, you brought up Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I too have done his work. And I think, for those out there that have done the work of Joe Dispenza, when working with Lydia and Pancho, they create this energetic field that's palpable, and it is something that the medicine just enhances that experience. And then all of a sudden the participants that you're there with in the community, they're all in that energetic field together. And so it really becomes one unit of healing, and the ancestral healing that can happen in that way is just so exponential. So I just, one of the things that I have loved the most about working with Lydia and Pancho is their ability to create this this quantum field, that I've never experienced before. It is like you all kind of enter a spaceship together and then take off. It's pretty magical.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Lydia.
And everybody being, responsible for their role in the ceremony too. You're not passive, you're active in the process. So it is also very empowering Like everybody's really, she was just talking about spaceship, everybody at their station, everybody has an important role, everybody embodies some archetypes, bringing their ancestors and their guides. So we all become shamans and healers in the circle.
I am curious. So you mentioned, is this typically 13, 14, 15 people? I don't want to call them clients, but people that you're helping, working with. And then are there 4 of you, or are there other roles or skill sets involved in the journey helping facilitate?
It's a good question. So our retreat in Costa Rica that we're hosting in October, that we have 20 participants. And then with that, we'll have about 6 facilitator or support team that's a part of that as well.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because there's different skill sets, there's different personality types. Maybe somebody's not ready to hold space, but maybe they want to get involved, and maybe they want to help make the medicine. I mean, I know that there's a process there that I'm not really sure, but I don't know if there's like a team of 10 people behind the scenes, or if it's just, a crew of 5 or 6 people.
I
mean, I am curious.
Are you wanting to talk about all of our light workers behind the scenes?
Well, I'm just curious if someone's listening and they're thinking, I really like this, but I obviously am not ready to be Lydia or Pancho or Trish or Christy, but I'm curious, how can I participate? How can I get involved? Are there other opportunities for people that might not have the life experience to get involved?
I think, again, before I started holding space and facilitating with these medicines, I traveled around the world sitting with different indigenous cultures and different traditions. And really that was my teacher. And then I had, I was fortunate enough to collaborate with a company that was running the clinical trials to legalize MDMA and psilocybin, and gained exposure through that. But I think there's, again, I always revert back to, it's a matter of us doing our work and finding, now as psychedelics are becoming more mainstream, there's so many opportunities and different forums to get involved and to really immerse yourself in the work. And then also, I think, I was always a seeker and a student of life, and I attended as many retreats, not using medicine, and also went back to school and studying spiritual psychology and the work of Dr. Gabor Mate and a handful of other trauma-informed therapies to prepare and have tools in the toolkit. Because I think part of this as well, of people getting involved, you can sit and hold space for someone with the medicine, and that may not be, let's say with psilocybin, overwhelmingly challenging. But what happens when you crack open old traumas that they haven't dealt with? What tools do you have in the toolkit then to really hold people through that healing journey and allow them a safe space and guiding them on a path of holding their hand through healing through some of this? And, Lydia, you may have more to say on that as well.
Yeah, well, I know that for us, the way we work is we really absorb and take a part of whatever is coming out. So we endorse, also this responsibility. That's really the work of the shaman, for the person to be able to have their own process in a more gentle way, let's say. So we are taking what's rough, as far as energy goes. Then it could be a whole conversation about what is energy and does it work. But and we also have our specificity is really to work on people, also to do hands-on healings during ceremony, which helps a lot, removing all those strong emotional energies coming out, and the traumas. So we are really like parents, really taking care also of people and not letting them really like having their own process in a difficult way. It can be a very difficult experience. And so we really take as much as we can so that everyone can navigate nicely in the process. So it doesn't mean that it can't be rough at some times, but this is very important. That's why we don't work with like 100 people, because this is we can stay with one person for 1 hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes in the ceremony. So we can't have big groups because it's very tiring for us going, maybe working on 3-4 people each on each ceremony, which makes also very long ceremonies. You have to be ready to spend the full night. But it's also so amazing to feel like all those pain in the body, all these, those are the traumas, those are the emotions. So we do this extraction work. We can help, the energies to flow in the body by really removing what it's here and blocking the process of blocking the energy to go through. So we're like basically like surgeons, we'd say, etheric surgeons. We do like this surgery. We use coded language. I wouldn't say light language, because this language came way before we started speaking about light language. And it's more than just something we channel like this. We know exactly what we're doing. And it's a coded language that allows us to go into, work, at we'd say at the cellular level. For us, nature is high technology. So the plant medicines are high technology too, the way they can go and decode the memories in your DNA. I mean, for some people who are like very, not believers, who are like, no way, But yeah, shamanism is a science, and those plants, they have the ability to really decode things that we can't understand without them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, is this I'm trying to understand kind of like the lifestyle. Do you do 2-3 ceremonies a month, 1 a month? I'm like, when you're not in ceremony, is there a 3-week time of just coming down and re-engaging into the world? Like, what is it like for you all on a, if you take a month, is that one journey? Or those 30 journeys?
Well, if I may, I would like to go in the understanding of the commitment of medicine woman, medicine man, who are fully committed to be of service to the healing of others, brothers and sisters, it is a daily commitment, because in the ceremony, as Lydia said, we take as much as we can, but in order for the audience to understand more clearly, we could say we don't even have the choice. We are being given, sent to us the maximum that we can handle, so that the patient can have the best, the most profitable, or the most, efficient healing and journey for his own sake, and to match with their intentions and so forth and so on. So in order to understand why are we being given as much as possible, because we are being identified by the spirits, by the energy, by everything, as medicine women and medicine man. Why so? Because on a daily basis, we are committed to deal with this energy without plant medicine, because they are here whether we take a plant medicine or not. They are the energy, especially when we live as we do in the countryside, in the mountain, in the jungle of the mountain of Costa Rica, or even if we are in the desert of Sinai in Egypt, or in the high Himalaya. We are always at work. We have to deal night and day, 24/7 with this energy, and we have to transmute. We have to not identify, to get deeper to the separation between, all the low frequency energies that resonate with all the trauma of the entire humanity, to be able to not identify and to transform within our body. Our body is our main tool to transform into higher vibration frequency, what at first was low frequency energy that are linked to anger, fear, jealousy, envy, and so forth, you see? So this is what we do on a daily basis. We also take care of what we eat, what we read, what we watch, movie, and who we are meeting, in the society. That's the commitment we can't escape. And that's also what makes our strength in ceremony, our protection. You see?
Yes, we have a very healthy lifestyle. We need that in order to be able to, we need to be clear all the time, and we do also our own fasting. We fast and we do healings to each other, ceremonies, just the two of us. So we can really all the time, be a clear channel.
Yeah, we have to practice our own ceremony to comment on dit pour une mise à jour?
To upgrade.
On a regular basis, twice or thrice a month, without participants, just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Lydia, I just not changing subjects, but you're French Italian, correct?
Yes. Well, my parents are both from Sicily.
Yep.
But I was born and grew up in France.
And how about you, Pancho? You're speaking French, right?
Yes, I do.
Are you French as well?
I'm 100% French.
Okay.
Father side is Celtic, and mother side is Qatar, from southwest France.
Okay, I'm just curious. Is there anything I haven't asked? And again, I'm a newbie. I'm learning, and I know there's a lot here. But is there anything, Christy, Trish, that I'm not bringing up that you think would be important for the audience to hear? Whether it's how are you all different than the other groups, the modalities? Something that maybe that I just have not asked that I should have.
One thing that just rang to me, I know your podcast is about, finding your genius zone and career paths and different choices with that. And I just wanted to say, even if being a medicine woman or, space holder or psychedelic guide isn't necessarily in line career-wise for the people listening, it is a fantastic tool to finding your path, to aligning with what you are here to do and how you are here to serve, in your own way. It's my clients, that's one of the number one things that they're looking for is help in that realm. So just thought I'd throw that in.
I love that you brought that up, because personally, I'm at 53 years old. I'm struggling with that right now. And, I guess I don't know how to ask this. And I would never want you to talk about anyone specifically, but can you give us kind of an example of maybe a journey somebody's had, an example? I know there's different outcomes, but is it a process of understanding through lineage or your ancestors, what I'm supposed to do, and then all the noise goes away about maybe their attachment to money or looking good or what society? Is it just clearing up the clutter? Is that a consistent theme?
Did you want to there's so much around this. Yeah. Go ahead, Christy. Go ahead.
Well, I would just say yes, all of the above. And oftentimes it's the unlearning of the cultural indoctrination that we've gotten. This is what you should do because your father was this and your grandfather. It could be that, and that's not maybe that person's purpose. And so oftentimes it does get clear, what are your values, and how are they aligning with what you're choosing to spend your time on and what you're choosing to study? And are you feeling fulfilled and joyous and abundant in the fields you're in? And if that answer is no, then perhaps you could use these tools to look at what would be a good path for you. And I've had many, many people come back after numerous journeys and different medicines with a very clear idea of what they do not want anymore, and a clear idea of what direction they would like to go. The medicine may not tell you exactly the title that you should be doing, but it will give you a feeling of this feels good, and your intuition is now turned back on, and you can discern much easier once you do clear up the clutter of your life where you're meant to be playing, a role. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I just react because Chris said some key words such as intentions, but such as intuition, and also the last one was discernment. What we do is working at a cellular level. It means that all what we know intellectually, all what we need to know, all what we need to uncover and discover and integrate will be done thanks to this work at a cellular level, so that our intuition we trust ourselves much more. We trust our intuition. It is part of, what we were talking previously, imagination. Intuition is part of imagination. And the problem is that most of humans don't trust their intuition when it's the most accurate, most of the time, thing to follow, And this because we work at the cellular level, and we can be more in and with our body on a daily basis, because this body is a fantastic tool. It cannot deceive us, cannot lie to us. So we feel, the change, and we learn with this work of ours the very delicate change that we can, physical change in the body that are talking to us and telling yes, maybe, no, to some questions. That's
and also these last years we've seen more and more people coming, for example, to those ceremonies from the corporate world, professional athletes, artists, and also seeing the difference, people working with NGOs, and how then they can, they see the change perspective. That's all about changing perspective in this work, really. Just like from a place where we feel stuck, and all of a sudden we shift perspective, and it all opens, and that are so many possibilities. And then those people coming back, feeling athletes feeling that it really enhanced their performance, same for artists. So they have new ideas, and people in corporates are going to work with different ethics, saying, as all of a sudden they meet nature. I'm meeting Mother Nature, that's what ayahuasca and iboga and all the plant medicine, I would say, the natural psychedelics coming from the earth and not chemicals. They really have the spirit. They have a spirit, and they put you in contact with nature, and all of a sudden you realize you are a part of nature. So of course I need to change things, and it's amazing to see that people totally can change their way of working with their co-workers and what they're going to do with their companies, and be more sensitive to the ecological crisis that we are, of course, have been facing for years now, and become the superheroes. Are going to do something to change things in the world, to make this world a better place.
It just my feeling is it just feels like such brave work, for somebody, and you hear people talking about these things and they don't really understand. And anyways, I am I think it's amazing what you're all doing. I you know, as far as making the impact on these people and yourself, I'm sure there's a lot of growth internally from just helping others. I am curious though, like how does it, and I don't even know how to ask this, so I'm just going to ask it the way I think. How do you not shut it off? You know, you said it's always with you 24/7, but when you're going through such deep work and intense stuff, you know, how do you go back to the 3D world and deal with, I mean, I would assume life is never the same once you see what you see or feel what you feel.
That's right. You can't unsee it. That's true. But there's a word that we use called spiritual hygiene. It's very important to have a way of clearing energy from yourself and to really take care of yourself, both in, you know, the foods that you eat, just like Lydia and Pancho were describing, who you spend time with. You know, are you spending enough time in nature? Are you, all the things, you know, that would go into a healthy lifestyle is very important in this work to make sure that you are staying as a clear channel and clean and taking good care of yourself, because it can be draining. Yeah.
We are very lucky to live in the jungle, also really in the middle of nature, which makes a big difference. I used to live in the city, in Paris, and going back and forth to Peru for my training, and it became at one point I just couldn't have this life anymore. So it's also very important to always be in contact with nature. And it's, you know, we just, after retreats, after ceremonies, we come back and we regenerate totally, and we go to the river and waterfalls and walking also. You know that this is very, very important and helping a lot to always keep that connection.
There is a beautiful way to answer your question, because this is a beautiful question and it can go very deep. Don't we feel like this world, the 3D world, is missing or is lacking magic? And couldn't we bring some magic in this 3D world? So when we come back, as you said in the question, we feel always like a responsibility to not feel like we are the chosen one. We are, you know, we have understood so much more than the average of human. That's the trap. That's an ego trap, spiritual ego trap. I must admit that for me, it's more and more difficult to go shopping in a mall or in a supermarket. I can't anymore. But if I had to, I could, because I know that I can have protection. But the beauty of this work is to realize that we work to reduce all kind of separation. We don't want to be separate anymore. We don't want to see that, yes, going to the forest is sacred and going to Walmart is profane. No, we want to be able to shine the sacred wherever we are, because that's what's needed on earth today. So we feel like this work is both calling us to take full responsibility, and this work is giving all the help to take full responsibility, to be the artist, to create this world, to create a better world, to create a better dream for everyone, freely, without fighting, without judging. And that was also a key word of Chris just before. We stop being judgmental. We shift from being judgmental to discernment. You know, to discern is not to judge. And it's wonderful, because that's what we offer to the world. And that's the responsibility of this work, getting back to the 3D, because we want 3D and all other D melting, full of magic, creativity, beauty. We all are artists, and that's what we offer to all the participants, to get in touch with their eternal nature of incredible artists once they take full responsibility for the trauma. And once they are able to shift their perspective on that trauma and to see them as hero and no longer as victim, that's a key also for the shift in this transition we are living today.
Thank you for that. That was amazing. Is the journey a way to expedite the unwiring of belief systems? Like, I've been working at doing that for years, personally, and I'm wondering, is this? I mean, I know there's so much to this question, and it's hard probably to answer. But like, I'm so curious, when you're in the journey, are you just getting a lens or a glimpse into? I mean, I know your ego is probably in the corner and you're just raw, but like, what is going? I mean, are you even able to answer what is going on? Like, is that something you can articulate, or is it just too hard to do that?
I think, I might speak to that just from personal experience. There were so many patterns. I had been, as I said, a student of life and had a lot of tools, but when being able to drop into medicine and go back and revisit some of these childhood experiences or even relationships that I had and the patterning in which, some of the behaviors played out, right? And when you can come and have kind of a perceptual state and looking at all of that from a different lens, and as Lydia and Pancho spoke to, then all of a sudden everything becomes possible when we untangle and rewire some of the circuitry from, adverse childhood experiences or even life experiences that we've had. And so through that, being able to look at a different way of operating in the world. And I think what's different about psychedelics is that we can sit in a therapy office and we can intellectualize it all day long, but psychedelics give us the opportunity to feel it and embody what it would feel like to not live with some of those conditions or limited patterns that we've adopted over the years. I don't know if someone wants to add or piggyback to that.
I would just say it does feel like a bit of a fast track. You have to feel it to heal it, and you can have 10 years of therapy, and like Trish was mentioning, intellectually you understand and you want to forgive or you want to let go, but your body doesn't know how, or it can't connect together to release that. And so these tools and medicines are just amazing at that part, helping us to connect it all so we can feel it, process it, and let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at the same time, it's very important to not to see those psychedelics like a quick fix, I'm going to do a ceremony, that's it, I'm going to heal, I know that's going to solve all my problems, or using them as an escape from reality. Like, recreative drug. So it's also one of the danger, of this. So people kind of like using psychedelics just basically to escape their reality, while the point is really to go to the other side and find the solutions that then we're going to embody and make the real changes in our life. The real work starts after ceremony. All this realization and new ideas and healing things that you understand and liberation, and then you go back to your life and you stick to your own same old patterns, same old beliefs, because beliefs are also what can limit us a lot. We are what we believe. So like when we say we are what we eat, we also are what we believe. So of course we can totally shift from a belief system when we sit with those medicines. And then what do we do with that? We really need then to make the changes. That's also the whole point of integration. But that's really one of the things that is important. If you go to escape your reality, it's going to get worse. You really need at one point to make those changes, and only you, no ayahuasca, no iboga, no any plant would be able to help you do that. Then that's your job.
Anything else? Anybody have any thoughts? I didn't want to cut anybody off.
No, I think only maybe the last thing is that we do have a retreat coming up at the end of October, and we have a couple spaces left if there is interest, and certainly, welcome any more questions or anything that can be answered kind of offline.
So how would somebody reach out, and would they reach out to you, Trish, or is there a website, or what's the best way for people that are interested in becoming part of this with your group?
Yeah, so you can access the retreat information through patriciadamon.com, which is my website, and we can help direct it from there. And, there is, I guess, maybe just something briefly that we could speak to because it'll help kind of filter. Lydia, do you want to speak to just some of the medical precautions or contraindications with ayahuasca?
Well, I don't know if I want to speak about it, but just to know that we look into that. That is very important for people who are following some treatments, and that of course, we communicate prior to the retreat to be sure there is no problem with the plant. Mm-hmm. We know how to navigate that well, but I'm not going to be.
There's a very specific, lengthy medical intake form that we will use as part of the application process for those interested in coming to the retreat. And so that will be addressed way ahead.
So that is one question I had as far as the selection process, not only medically that the medicine will work with your body, but also just psychologically, I would assume that you're just not taking anybody, right? I mean, there's probably times, maybe not, but there's times where maybe people that wanted to do this, maybe it wasn't the right time. Is there any of that going on?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's, I think sometimes, and I've experienced this a lot working with private clients, they feel like they're, they want it, they want the answers, but then oftentimes they can start working with the medicine, and the medicine's like, no, not yet, because they really aren't prepared. And, that's something that Christy and I really take seriously in doing our due diligence to, and if they aren't ready, then helping them get to a place where plant medicines may be a path for them. And so I think it raises a good point. There is a lot that, a good example, if you have a lot of fear going into ceremony, we would rather dance with that fear before coming to meet the medicine, right? And really understanding where is that coming from, and helping them process some of these aspects prior to actually getting on retreat. So it's really important that we, select a container where there's also safety for everyone involved, right? So
I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time, and I appreciate you being patient with my questions. Maybe some of them were elementary, but I'm learning, and I think the work you're doing is amazing, and very brave work, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
All right. Thank you, guys.